Humanity is an amazing thing. The advancements in science and medicine over the last several hundred years, all based in the scientific method, have been paramount in allowing humanity to push the envelope of exploring the universe or curing viruses. Those doctors, scientists, mathematicians, and students definitely deserve some credit. However, tonight's list has nothing to do with them. Tonight's list is the top 10 pseudosciences. We hope you enjoy. And welcome to another episode of The Twisted 10.
What's up, guys?
Sitting in the studio with my boys, Josh and Ron. What's up, fellas?
What's up? It's good, man. How's your week been?
It's been interesting. It's been, I've actually come off like 3 weeks of 70 plus hours of work per hour. God damn, it's even hard to say. 70 plus hours of work each week, and it's just intense. Ooh. We're going for some compliance certification and a lot of boring shit that I'm not going to talk about, but yeah. But it's been good. It's been fun. Yeah, no problem. How about you guys? How's your week been?
I actually, so last week, so you guys know, I know the timeline is kind of weird with release, but so I have one more week and then I go on 7 weeks of paternity leave. So I have one more week of work left, and it's not that I'm counting the days, but I have 5 days. I have 9 meetings.
You're having another baby?
I have 38 hours.
Yeah, this is kind of a late paternity leave. Why is it so long after?
It was supposed to be May. So there's a couple of things that fed into it. One, the way that it works it follows FMLA laws. And so short version is that I have to be with the company for a year, and I have to take that time before the relevant child turns 1 year old. So the way that worked out is I could have taken it anywhere from the middle of April until December 26th when my son was born. So originally we were going to take it in May. We were going to take that time, do some travel, hang out with him while he was small. But the world fell apart, and I just didn't. Just decided to wait. So the reason it's so far back is because Ryder turns 1 on December 26th. So I am taking the 6 weeks prior, Christmas Day and back, off of work.
This is insane that his company gives him that much time off.
I'm glad. That's exciting for you. I'm excited for you, for real.
Yeah,
good for you.
I'm pretty stoked about it. I mean, it's the first time it's not an American company.
I think it's valid to say that the company that you work for, without saying the name of the company, is a foreign company. We're operating inside the U.S. Quite literally.
Yes, quite literally.
And they recognize paid maternity leave for fathers, or I guess paternity leave. Fucking 6 weeks.
It's awesome.
It's
ridiculous.
They've got, you know what? Hey, I got 3 days. That's all I got.
You have a baby? You know, it's 6 weeks off for you.
Sacre bleu, take the time off.
Sacre bleu. What does that even mean? Sacre bleu.
It's a type of cheese.
Is that just something that Americans say when they're trying to sound French?
Yes, 100%.
Completely incorrect.
You know where I got that? I'll tell you, this goes back more than 30 years. I got that from a childhood cartoon, Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, mon chéri, sacre bleu.
You know what I'll bet? I'll bet if I went back and watched every single Pepe Le Pew cartoon, they never say sacre bleu. That's just my guess.
They may not.
That's Adam's own Mandela.
I was just to say, that's your own Mandela effect.
You mean Morgan Freeman? All right. So this week is my week to host. Before we get into my list, and I'm going old school again, it's on paper over here, we're going to play a little game. All right. So a couple weeks back, we did the episode where I had you guys do the Kool-Aid testing. I had you drink the Kool-Aid in the studio.
Literally, yes.
I liked it so much, and you guys enjoyed it. I wanted to do something similar to that for this list this week, so we're going to do that now. I teased this inside our Discord for our private, for just the 3 of us and Tach, and just for us, with a picture, a GIF. Did you guys see that GIF?
You said it right. Yes,
I
did see it.
Not GIF. Okay, did you see it too, Ron?
I don't know what a GIF is.
It's the animated picture.
Oh, a GIF. Yeah, I saw it.
Fucker. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I actually need you guys to take your headphones off, because I'm going to be whispering something to the listeners, because this doesn't work well for you guys to hear what I'm whispering to the listeners.
listeners.
Yeah, you can keep them on right now. We're going to play a game. All right. And there's positive rewards for this, and there's negative rewards. The positive rewards is right over here. in studio is an untouched, it's still good, don't worry,
I found a cake in my fridge. I'm sorry.
red velvet cake. And you guys both said that you enjoy red velvet cake. So it's untouched. You take home, eat for yourself, eat for your family, whatever the hell you
I
want
thought
to
we
do.
were eating it tonight. I thought this was just
Not if I win.
Whoever wins
bullshit.
this,
Oh, man, what a tease.
whoever wins this takes this home with them. All right. So there's an incentive here. Red velvet cake on the line. I think it's a Publix brand cake too. So it's pretty good.
Josh, I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. It is probably not great for your health to take a fat man's velvet cake. I'm just saying.
Sounds like you better perform.
As you answer these questions, I want you to consider that. Okay,
So
continue.
there's your positive reinforcement for this game. There is negative reinforcement as well. Josh in his hand, and you guys will share this, Josh in his hand is holding a rubber ruler. What that rubber ruler is going to be used for is for either one of you that gets something wrong, you have to smack your opponent's hand. Yes.
Oh my God, this is like kindergarten and Catholic school all over.
I mean, don't break skin, but you have to smack your opponent's hand. So I anticipate a lot of smacking and not very many points going towards either body here. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys have some sort of special ability that I'm not tracking yet.
Should I move? Because I cannot reach Ron.
No, you just reach over and smack.
No, I can't reach Ron.
If he extended his hand and stuff, yeah, get in position, get where. Yeah, you can reach. Yeah, you guys.
Cool,
can
I gotta
reach.
do
That
this
sucks.
with my
I actually have to put in effort to get my hand smacked. What the hell is that?
All right, so the picture that I shared in Discord was a
God.
picture of Peter Venkman dancing in the square out in front of the college that he taught at. All right, so from the show Ghostbusters. And if you remember much about the show Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman's character, well, Bill Murray's character, Peter Venkman, had a at the very beginning of the movie, had a test going on that he was performing
Yes.
with two students. Positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement used through electroshock therapy. I couldn't find my little zapper. I actually have one of those zapping machines to zap you. I couldn't find that. I was trying to find it, couldn't find it. So we're going to use some smack, and it gives you guys a chance to beat up each other a little bit. So what I have in front of me, I'm going to fan these out so you can see them. To include a Joker card, I have all of the face cards out of a standard deck of playing cards. All right, I'm going to give these things a shuffle, and I'm going to hold up a card for each one of you, and you're going to have to tell me what you think the card is. So ace through jack,
this is
hearts,
really
diamonds,
is
clubs,
like
and
the
spades.
Ghostbusters test,
It is
isn't it?
exactly like it. What we're testing is to see if you guys have any kind of capability of ESP.
Oh,
extra sensory
so
perception.
we won't be able to see the picture. I understand.
So that's why when I'm holding up the card, I'm going to whisper into the mic. I'm like, all right, listeners, this is the two of spades. So they'll hear what the card is, and then you guys will have to make your guesses. All right, so that's the game in a nutshell.
Circle. Oh, sorry. I was doing Ghostbusters.
So a bunch of wavy lines.
I don't know. A couple of wavy lines. Sorry, this isn't your lucky day.
All right, are you guys ready?
I'm ready to get my hand smacked a lot.
All right, I figure we'll go 5 rounds each, so it doesn't get too bad. So again, that's 16 cards plus a joker. There is one wild card in here.
Is it an entire 52 card deck?
No, it's only the face cards. It's only
So
face
all
cards.
the face cards plus a joker.
Yeah, all the face cards plus one joker. Yes, that is correct. I'm giving them a shuffle because I just flashed the cards over.
Why do I feel like you guys set this up ahead of time? Josh is going to get everyone right. I'm going to get crushed.
Josh is the hot chick. You're the nerd.
Josh is going to go with a red velvet cake, and I'm going to leave with a red velvet hand.
All right, you guys have to remember your own scores because I don't remember these. All right, Ron, you're going to go first. Are you ready?
Do I have to take off my headset?
Oh, yeah. Take off your headsets, both of you guys, please. All right, Ron, your very first card for you to guess is... Go.
Jack of clubs.
This is the Jack of clubs. I'm not joking. That is the Jack of clubs. Holy shit. Holy shit. How the fuck? All right, 1 point for Ron. What the fuck?
I have no idea, bro.
All right, Josh, your card's up next. Take your headphones off. Let me whisper into the mic for the listeners. All right, this is the Joker. All right, Josh, your card right here. What do you think that this is?
2 of spades. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I was like,
That's what you said earlier. That's what you said earlier.
No, you're good.
Nope. I'm gonna go. You know what? The king of spades.
I am so sorry. This is the Joker. Smack him, Ron. Oh, that's a pussy. All right, Ron, you're up next. Card number 2. You get 5 of these total. All right, So for listeners, I'm holding up the Jack of Diamonds. Jack of Diamonds. All right, Ron, what card am I looking at? And I'm trying to send my projection of what that card is to you telepathically. I'm trying to project this card to you. Okay.
Queen of Diamonds.
Oh, so close. I'm sorry. It is the Jack of Diamonds.
Oh, damn it.
Ooh, that's kind of loud.
Limp-wristed
Did that hurt? You
there.
all right?
Nah, it's not too bad.
All right, Josh.
Am I allowed to hear when you tell?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Josh, you ready? All right, so for listeners, this is the Jack of Hearts. All right. Josh, what card am I holding in my hand?
The King of Hearts.
Close, but I'm so sorry. It is the Jack of Hearts. I'm so sorry, Josh. Smack him again. What's wrong?
I don't have.
I didn't switch him. I held it up.
I'm just making dirty eyes at Adam across the room. That's all.
All right, Ron, you're up next. This is your card number 3. For the listeners, this is the Ace of Diamonds. All right, Ron, whenever you're ready, buddy. I am projecting my telepathic thoughts over to you right now.
King of Hearts.
Oh, I'm so sorry, buddy. Ace of Diamonds.
Oof.
You get a smack. You're supposed to react when he fake smacks
Ow!
All right, I'm going to hit you for real, though, because...
you. All right. So next up, all right, Josh, this is your card number 3. This is the Queen of Clubs. All right. Josh, what card am I holding? Projecting.
The Jack of Spades.
I'm so sorry. Queen of Clubs. So I am very sorry, Josh. Currently, the score is Ron with 1, Josh with none. Ron, your 4th round. This is the King of Hearts. All right. Ron, projecting this card to you right now.
I feel like it's cheating that I keep saying the same one, but I'll go one more time. King of Hearts?
It is the King of Hearts. That's amazing.
That was going to be the last time. I'm like, okay, I can't keep saying that. That's cheating, so I get one more.
That's amazing.
Now I don't get to hit Ron.
All right. So, Ron,
you can smack me later, baby.
Josh, you have to win out to tie at this point. So, Josh, this is round 4 for you. All right, Josh, for the listeners, this is the Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts. All right.
I actually, so I could hear you.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry.
We'll bunk that one. Damn. All right. Put your fingers in your. There you go. The Ace of Hearts. Ace of Hearts. Okay. All right, Josh.
All right, cool. Sorry, I thought if I didn't plug my ears, it would be fine.
No, you're good. You're good. What card am I holding in my hands?
It's the see, now I just want to say Queen of Hearts.
It's not that. I promise.
I know. I saw you put the other one away. So I'm just gonna go with the Queen of Spades.
I'm so sorry. This is the Ace of Hearts. I'm very sorry. That technically means we have a winner, but we're going to play out this last round anyway. All right, Ron, are you ready for your last card? For the listeners, this is the Queen of Diamonds. All right, Ron, what am I holding in my hand right now?
A couple of wavy lines.
It's not your lucky day.
Ace of Clubs.
No, the Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
All right, so you got 2 right. Smack his hand. Get that negative reinforcement in there. All right, Josh, your last card, just for edification. The Jack of Spades. All right, Josh, what card am I holding in my hand?
It's the Jack of Diamonds.
Damn, so close, Jack of Spades. So, sorry, Josh. Another smack for you, buddy.
Take it.
Just not your lucky day.
That
All
was
right.
kind of loud. Did that one hurt? That was a little loud.
I got a little engorged from it.
A little engorged. I don't mean your penis. I'm talking about your hand.
Oh no, my hand's fine. Hand's totally fine.
Well, very good. Thank you for participating in our very first game episode. You guys have a good week.
Game time.
It was like a miniature game time. No, thank you. Ron, your reward. Take this home with you tonight. You have won this, and it's legit. It's good. Nobody in our house likes to eat red velvet cake, and we got it on sale. So here you go, buddy. Well, we can get it later if you want.
I get it later. I'm attached to shit
It's
right
right
now.
there. So congratulations. That was pretty impressive. You get 2 out of 5. That's for those types of tests. That's pretty
The second
pretty
one
good.
almost felt like cheating because I think I gave the same guess 3 times in a row. I think I did. That first one, that just was a fucking just straight up lucky ass guess.
Well, you'll be able to hear in edits. All right, so that brings me to what my list is tonight. Before I get into this list, do you guys have any idea what this list might be based on the little game we just played?
I have two things that have stuck in my mind since we started this. One being ESP or psychic sort of research that's been done by different, agencies, government or otherwise.
Bullshit.
or just generalized research that has happened that has been, culturally refuted, but the science is still there.
Okay.
Based on the real experiment that led to the Ghostbuster scene.
Okay. Ron?
I think that maybe this will be something to do with research that's done with ESP. And I don't know what Josh said.
So I'll tell you what number 10 is ESP. That's number 10. So I want to lead in with that game and lead into ESP.
Are these like what do they call them? Like do they call them the pseudosciences? Do I have
Bingo,
that right?
lollipop.
Okay.
This is your top 10, according to Adam, your top 10 pseudosciences.
Nice.
So yeah, we're going down that rabbit hole tonight, boys.
Oh, that's exciting. That's so exciting, actually. I mean, not because I'm like into that stuff.
No, we know it's because you got a cake.
The cake is... Did somebody say cake? But no, I'm more excited because I think it's funny that people believe any of this stuff. And so it makes it more entertaining for me.
I'm going to define pseudoscience right off the bat, and then I'm going to give a little caveat to this list. All right, so pseudoscience is defined as a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method. All right, so it doesn't mean it's all fake. It doesn't mean it's false. I put a caveat on here. I said this does not mean that all of these are hoaxes or fake sciences. That's meaning to my list. I simply want to identify that most of the following list is not based on evidence supported by the scientific method. Some of these pseudoscience practices actually work or were influential towards progressing science and medical practices. So that little caveat, because some of these are going to be like real. There's real science that supports these pseudosciences, but not directly, more like tangentially association. So, all right, let's get right into it. Number 10. Number 10 is ESP, extrasensory perception. Britannica is one of my sources for this. Extrasensory perception, or ESP, perception that occurs independently of the known sensory processes. I started off bad already.
Totally Ron.
Got a bunch of pages to read here.
Fucking Ron'd that one up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. All right, so perception that occurs independently of the known sensory processes, sight, smell, all the typical ones. Usually included in this category of phenomenon are telepathy or thought transference between persons, i.e. me projecting the cards that you guys were guessing, clairvoyance or supernormal awareness of objects or events not necessarily known to others, and precognition. So being able to predict future events is also covered in extrasensory perception, or the knowledge of the future. Scientific investigation of these and similar phenomenon dates back to the 19th century, with most supporting evidence coming from experiences involving card guessing. Ding, ding, ding. Subjects attempt to guess correctly the symbols of cards hidden from their view under controlled conditions. Yes, I know you science nerds out there. Our studio is not exactly a controlled condition. However, it was as good as we can do on short notice. A better than chance percentage of correct calls on statistically significant numbers of trails is considered to be evidence of ESP. So based on a 2 out of 5, what is that, a 33%? No, that would be a 27%, whatever it is. That's actually higher than what most people have. So Ron, you may have a little bit ESP tingles going on in your DNA there, buddy.
Hey, yeah, right.
Although many scientists continue to doubt the existence of ESP, people who claim this ability are sometimes used by investigative teams searching for missing persons or things. Parapsychology, discipline concerned with investigating events that cannot be accounted for by natural law and knowledge that cannot have been obtained through the use of sensory abilities. Sorry, I typed that really badly. Parapsychology studies the cognitive phenomenon often called extrasensory perception. It also examines physical phenomena such as levitation of objects and the bending of metal through psychokinesis. Though belief in such phenomena may be traced to earliest times, parapsychology as a subject of serious originated as a serious subject originated in the late 19th century, partly in reaction to the growth of the spiritual movement. The Society of Psyche. Goddamn, this is hard to say. There's going to be a lot of words, by the way, tonight in this list that I'm going to stumble over. A couple of them are Chinese style. Yeah, so just
glad I'm
bear
not
with
doing
me.
this list.
The Society of Physical Research. Is it Psychical? Physical, right?
Spell that one more time.
Psychical? Psychical.
Psychical is how I would pronounce it. I don't know that word.
The Society of Psychical Research. We're going to go with Psychical. The Society of Psychical Research was established in London in 1882, and similar studies were later founded in the U.S. and many European countries. In the 20th century, research into parapsychology was also conducted at some of the universities, notably Duke University under J.B. Rhine. So, have you guys ever done any of those little games before, like the ESP style games like we just did?
First time I've ever done anything.
I remember going through this stuff when I was in grade school, like when I was like 10, maybe not even 10 years old, going through that in, I don't know, maybe it was a sociology class or a social studies class or something, but it was a test that they gave all the students. Like it was a special thing. Go to the library and get tested for this. You know, it's fun. You'll have fun. Go have
really?
Fun. Yeah.
Interesting. What a waste.
Why? Yeah, exactly.
What a waste.
It is a waste. I mean, there are people out there that can hit percentages far higher than what the average is. So everybody gets lucky from time to time.
Well, even, and I was concerned. I didn't know how far you were taking it. You had a lot of cards left over.
Yeah, well, there were 17 total cards. You guys each guessed 5 minus the one throwaway. We had 11
Eventually,
cards.
that was going to get to a point of,
if you were remembering well enough. So
a process of elimination.
I narrowed your guys' options down. However, in the example we used with Ghostbusters, there were only a certain amount of symbols: stars, circles, wavy lines, etc. There's only 4.
In the original experiment, they used 4 cards.
So you had 1 out of 4 shot to get it. So in this case, you had 1 out of 17 to get that answer right.
So I thought Josh was going to start. I thought we were going through them all, and I'm like, Josh is going to take me because he's going to probably be able to remember what's been played and what's not. I was trying really hard to pay attention to have a better shot of, and you know what? I wasn't going to be able to remember which jacks, which kings, but I could probably remember how many jacks, how many kings, and I was getting to
you come off right off the bat. The first card guessed.
I was just lucky, but
or was it?
It was getting to, or was it? It was getting to a point.
Where's
then
that hippo's laugh?
When it was getting to a point then where like I knew there was a bunch of aces. I was like, okay, my next guess is probably going to be ace. But then you did an ace. So I'm like, maybe my next one shouldn't be an ace. But I think we were done anyway at that point. I was just kind of wondering. It's just a way to kind of trick it, I guess, where it really wouldn't have been. It really was no longer just taking a best guess, and now it's process of elimination, like almost like a match game.
That first one, so number 10 in this case, does meet the pseudoscience criteria of there's been lots of research that is done into it, but there's nothing really to take away. There's not really a progression of the sciences or the medicines of the world. It doesn't really do much more than say, okay, this guy's really lucky at guessing, or this girl can really hit her wavy lines or something. I
don't want to get into like take away stuff from your list, but what about this guy like John Edwards that supposedly speaks to the dead? Is that part of ESP or is that something else?
No. It's a pseudoscience as well. It was on the list.
Pseudoscience.
It didn't make my list. The ability to communicate with the dead, while it is considered a pseudoscience, definitely did not make my list.
If maybe it just falls into that ESP bucket or not.
I mean, maybe clairvoyance is in there. Some of
clairvoyance is like guessing numbers, pretty much.
So that there's
yeah.
I've plugged their show before. We really should try and do some work with them. The Stuff You Should Know podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
They did an episode on mysticism during the westward American expansion, and mediums and people who could speak to the dead. That's a relatively recent
That's right.
concept as like the John Edwards style type of medium. That's a new thing. And they go into the history of it. It's 2 women in the early 1800s. I forget, but it's these 2 women who just they lost their husbands, and just acknowledging that it was a different world, that basically meant they were spinsters who were just going to be left to poverty until they just died in a hole. So
yeah,
they started swindling people to fucking buy food.
Yep.
And they came out later at near the end of their lives, and they're like, no, it was all a front. We were just hungry. I mean, in more eloquent words, of course. But
Sure.
It's like, yeah, we just, didn't want to die.
We was just bullshitting.
We just made shit up to get money.
Number 9. Number 9 is hypnosis.
Ah, okay.
So gshypnosis.com, Wikipedia, and a few other sources helped me with this number. Hypnosis is a highly relaxed mental state in which we bypass the critical mind. In other words, the mind is relaxed and ready to learn. The mind becomes much more susceptible to suggestion. I know you guys have all seen the hypnosis. So it's comedy shows where they, hypnotize people to do shit on stage. Andrea and I had a conversation about this the other day, is whether or not it's real. Are those people all just improv actors that are just looking to have a good time, or are they actually being put under some kind of trance? And the answer is actually both. It's really interesting. In deeply relaxed hypnosis, we can override these automatic thoughts and update this thinking with new suggestions. Hypnosis works by allowing us to alter our unconscious thought process to help us achieve specific goals. Here's an example. Suppose you want to use hypnosis to lose weight. Your subconscious mind has many beliefs about losing weight. You might automatically think losing weight's impossible, that you don't want to give up your favorite foods, or that you don't have the time for this exercise that you need to lose weight. These unconscious thoughts, which are shaped by memories, experiences, and expectations, ultimately drive our conscious actions, and we don't even realize this is happening. In short, our subconscious sets us up to fail, and that's true about many of our other bad habits. Hypnosis empowers you to change your unconscious thoughts. This is partially real science, partially pseudoscience here. So we're kind of dipping our toes into the pseudoscience side of what this whole process is. Hypnosis has fascinated us for centuries. In fact, beginning in the 1770s, an Austrian physician, g'day mate, named Francis...
Austrian? Okay.
Let's throw another shrimp on the bobby. You get where that reference from, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Dumb and Dumber. Okay,
Except
good.
that's Australian.
Yeah. Well, she said
she
she's
said
Austrian.
Well, then, g'day, mate.
G'day, mate. His name was Francis Mesmer.
Yeah, he was mesmerized.
Exactly. For whom the verb mesmerize is named. He first experimented with putting patients into a trance-like state. Mesmer would play ethereal music, dim the lights, and use relaxation techniques. But Mesmer had some eccentric thoughts about what was happening while in this trance. He thought that he was infusing the patients with some sort of invisible magnetic fluid, whatever. He was still accomplishing the same goal as what current hypnosis puts you under. He was just a little wackadoo back then. In 2005, Dr. Amir Raz, a Columbia professor, asked patients to complete a simple task. 4 words were written in block letters: green, red, blue, and yellow. But the color of the ink that was used for each was incongruent from the word that was written. For example, blue would have been written in red ink.
Oh.
When asked what color the word blue is written in, our brains automatically want to say blue, even though the correct answer is red. This is known as the Stroop effect.
I'm the bomb at beating that.
That's good.
I've played some games before where they give you the color and then the word is different, and you have to either name the color
word or the
say, oh, dude, I fucking will go 100 for 100. I don't know, my brain just works that way for some reason.
In most brains, the incongruent ideas get crossed and it takes us longer to answer the question. Raz this doctor, hypnotized the subjects and told them they would see words in gibberish on the screen. So the same words being shown up there, but they would see it in gibberish. And their task would be to identify the color of the ink. Not only did the hypnotized subjects complete the task without delay, but using brain imaging, so they actually did some scientific research on this people, the area of the brain that decodes written words was not active. So there is real science behind hypnosis. It is a real state of mind that you can be put into, but here's the catch to it. You have to knowingly go into this state of hypnosis for it to work. You can't be, sitting in a restaurant somewhere and some dude drop a watch in front of your face and bam, you're out. You're going to give them all your money. It doesn't work like that. You have to consciously and unconsciously or subconsciously acknowledge what's about to happen.
All
and go
hypnosis is self-hypnosis.
Well,
I mean, that's like, I listen to these things that try and put you to sleep at night, and I have tried the hypnosis weight loss stuff, And I will say that I was very impressed by the overeating one that seemed to really, for some reason, decrease my urge to eat more than I should, no matter what I was eating. Was it mind over matter? I don't know. However, at the beginning of every one of those I've listened to, they all start off with that phrase. Let's start with the premises that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm not really hypnotizing you. You're listening to me, but you're hypnotizing yourself. That's the whole concept. So when you say that, like, you have to be part of it. You have to be. You're not going to be forced into hypnosis. You have to be willingly hypnotized if you're really even being hypnotized.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, so they have proven hypnosis is a real thing because it does change your brain chemistry and how your synapses are firing while in hypnosis and while out of hypnosis on controlled subjects and placebos.
They've done it with MRIs or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, this particular test where he hypnotized the people to only read the ink color, not the actual word that was written, the word processing part of the brain did not fire during that test. That's pretty fucking remarkable evidence to show that hypnosis does work. It does change your state of mind when you're under hypnosis. Now, the caveat to that is when you go to these comedy shows and you see these actors, and not to blow up their spots, because fuck it, I invited that one guy that's really funny hypnosis to come on our show and he never even responded. So fuck him. So in those situations, when you go up on those stages, the audience that goes up to do those hypnosis on stages and comedy shows, yes, they're more or less hypnotized, but they're also there because it's endorphin releasing fun. It is enjoyment for them. So they don't mind acting a fool, doing some silly things, responding later after they've sat back in their regular chair because it's part of their brain that's telling them this is fun. They're going to continue that antic. And if you get somebody who really doesn't want to do it, you'll see the comedian. You'll ask them, all right, if it doesn't work on everybody, please take a seat. Those are the people that they don't want to be put under hypnosis. They don't want it, so it won't work on them. It only works if you want it to work, which would lead me to an after show thought idea is we need to get somebody in here to put us under hypnosis and see exactly what happens. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be cool.
I'm in.
Yeah, cool. Have you guys ever been hypnotized before?
No.
No?
Not beyond listening to some not beyond listening to some YouTube stuff at nighttime when you go to bed. I mean, if you consider it that, I don't know if you do, but
altering your state of mind.
Never having someone else sit there, you're getting sleepy. I know it doesn't work that way, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I'm about to get be a little bit of a hippie here, but I went through a little spat where I was really fascinated by the concept of ego. And I was reading about ego and reading what they were writing, like opinion pieces on ego and what ego is. And
like the ego, as I'm understanding, is ego a term for something, an acronym, or are you talking about like ego, myself ego?
Ego, the noun. Ego. Okay. Yeah. Ego, like what makes you more than just a meat wagon. Like what the piece that ties everything. It's the abstract thing, the soul, it's got different names. But at least that's where I've landed when I've read a lot of stuff. And it's interesting that a lot of what you wrote in the first half of that lines up exactly with like everything I was reading about ego. It's just, it's a self-driven thing and we create it and we're driven by those impulses. But if you can shut down, just relating to what you're talking about, our past experiences and what we want to see and predetermined outcomes for ourselves, etc. That is all, like if you can quiet that, and become the term you called open-minded. You're
your own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, you can create that for yourself by just silencing your ego and just doing it's a preconceived, the word example. It's preconceived that we need to like read the word and the word portion of the brain firing, all of that you were just talking about. It's interesting that this pseudoscience lines up in such a parallel to that pseudo. I mean, it's not really. I don't even think it deserves pseudoscience.
Philosophy is probably a better term for that.
Yeah, it's just.
That's cool. I'd love to know more about that. Send me a link on that. That's.
It's not really.
Is it a book?
No. This is hours.
So it's a rabbit hole. Got it.
It is. Yes, I have been down that rabbit hole many, many, many hours.
I know a rabbit hole that neither one of you have dug too deep into, other than maybe one of our past guests on our shows. But that leads us to number 8.
Good segue.
Which is crystals.
I love those burgers.
Yeah, then that 4-pack of sliders.
Dude, when you are freaking coming back from the script club drunk as shit, and you get you a 12-pack of Crystals.
Yeah, it's the best thing in the world.
Oh, is that not what we're talking about?
No, but it's good. It's,
because it always made me feel better, so I figured that was the pseudoscience. That
No, what happens
pseudoscience is Crystal does not help you sober up.
What happens is that there's no scientific evidence for how Crystal burgers turns into diarrhea and vomit so fast. They don't understand how that happens. It's an ingredient, maybe, I don't know. No, so this kind of steps on the toes of one of our friends, and I don't mean it to be. I'm as respectable as I can be about this, but crystals and their energies and properties definitely fall into a pseudoscience. Like I've said in the past, some of these pseudosciences actually are built and nested into real science and have real effects, be it placebo effects or not.
But not crystals. Is that what you're trying to say?
Kind of. All right, so let's go down this. So crystals. So a lot of the stuff that I'm about to tell you came from livescience.com and Wikipedia and a few other sources, but Live Science was the majority of this. And I feel it's relevant to throw this out there on some of these pseudosciences. Adam is not the intelligent person that comes up with some of these dialogues. I am sharing with a lot of the research that I've done over the past couple of weeks since we had the episode where we referenced pseudosciences. This is what gave me the idea.
Cool.
All right. Let's just get right into this. Crystal healing. We're going to kind of focus on healing specifically. There's many properties and many other attributes that like our friend Kathleen can tell us about that crystals have for us. So I want to kind of focus on healing because that's the most fundamentally important one in my opinion. So I'm going to focus on that. Crystal healing is an alternative medicine technique in which crystals and other stones can be used to cure ailments and protect against disease. Proponents of this technique believe that crystals act as conduits for healing, allowing positive healing energy to flow into our body as negative disease-causing energy flows out. Despite the fact that crystal healing has seen an upsurge in popularity in recent years, this alternative treatment is not popular with most medical doctors and scientists, many of whom refer to crystal healing as literally pseudoscience. Scientifically speaking, there is no evidence that crystals can heal or be used to cure diseases because diseases have never been found to be the result of a so-called energy flow in the body. Furthermore, no scientific studies have been shown that crystals and gems can be differentiated by chemical composition or color to treat particular ailments. So a lot of shade being thrown at crystals from the medical and scientific communities. Rightly so. I mean, I get it.
Naturally.
It's what they do. Nevertheless, healing crystals remain popular at health spas and at New Age health clinics, sometimes incorporated into related practices of massage and Reiki. I don't know what Reiki is.
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Reiki is, which by the way, if you are curious to learn more about, our friend that you're talking about, she is a certified Reiki healing master. She has her credentials up on the wall.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know. Is it a medicine? Homeopathic, whatever?
It is a form of, and I don't feel like I'm going to do it fully justice. So if you're mad at me for what I'm about to say, just message me. Just correct me. It is a form of manipulating the energy flows in the body in such a way as to concentrate, much like you're talking about using the different crystals as a means to channel and manipulate. It is a belief that the Reiki healer or master can observe the energy flows through your body, manipulate them in such a way to begin a healing process within your body.
Interesting.
So same thing minus crystals.
Okay, makes sense. The use of crystals in such environments may help induce relaxation, although this effect is not backed by scientific evidence. While there are no scientific studies of the efficacy of crystal healing, there is a study that suggests that crystal healing may induce a placebo effect in a patient who receives this type of treatment. Placebo effects are effects that accompany a treatment that are not directly due to a treatment itself acting on the disease of a patient, according to Christopher French, head of anomalistic psychological research at the University of London. It's an interesting title. So basically meaning if you feel better, it's working. That's basically what that means. If you think that you feel better, then your chemicals in your body, how your biology works, will do better because you think you're doing better. It's a straight up placebo effect.
That's why all medicines are usually, I won't say all because I don't know. Most medicines, real medicines, are still tested with two groups. Somebody gets the real medicine, somebody gets the placebo. because I have to know for
Double
sure.
blind. Yep.
Have to know for sure. Did the results of this medicine work because it was truly mind over matter and people thought they were getting better, or did it actually work?
Yeah,
Even if it's the most, which is weird because you would think some things like you can't mind over matter yourself out of cancer,
right?
But they'll do it even with cancer. It's interesting.
Yeah, I would love to have Kathleen. So we've invited Kathleen in the past. I think Josh has talked to her recently to come in. She runs a crystal shop in Merritt Island. In fact, if you're a listener of the podcast, a longtime listener, we've recorded several shows out of her studio that she had in her crystal shop. So give her a little plug, your crystal shop over on Merritt Island, Florida. She's an amazing person, a great friend of all of us on the show, and we would love to have her in.
She's awesome.
I'm not dogging on her entire system of beliefs, even though it kind of sounds that way. When I sat on her podcast, I was a skeptic, but I did look. I mean, some pieces of Earth contain certain kind of attributes. Like let's just look at plutonium. It has the capability of storing immense amounts of energy inside it. Not necessarily energy you want to spread over your body, but you see my point.
I'm actually remembering now, and you might not be happy that I bring this up.
Uh-oh.
You ran an objective skeptics experiment.
Oh yeah, that's
for
right.
her.
I do remember that.
Wasn't it something to do with rice? Or was that a different thing?
That's Tach.
Oh, sorry. All right. That's probably a joke that everyone's laughing. You have no idea. That was from a
We'll
different
recap
show.
that. Don't let me forget to say that. That was funny as shit.
Tach yelled at Rice.
He did yell,
my goodness.
He did yell at Rice.
Let's take that for the after show. That's a wonderful
Topic it. Somebody write that shit down. I don't have a pen over here. Yes, for sure. After show Tach's story about Rice.
I'm sorry. So you did a little crystal experiment for Kathleen, and I think it's very topical.
So she picked out as a, and I still have it upstairs somewhere.
Oh, cool.
But she picked out a stone for me to wear. Let me rephrase that. She had me pick from her board of stones that were necklaces to whichever stone spoke to me. All right, whichever one stood out to me, and I like the color amber. I like that color. So I kind of navigated towards one of the amber stones, and she told me all the properties of the stone that I happened to pick out. She goes, I want you to wear this for a week. Here's what's supposed to happen to you with this stone. Come back in a week and let us know how everything went. You're supposed to shower with it, sleep with it, the whole 9 yards. So I wore the stone, and I told her, I said, the end all be all at the end of the week, those things in my life that were supposed to have been better or been enhanced were enhanced. But was that an effect of the stone, or was that an effect of the placebo effect that I knew that those things were supposed to be better? So I had more attention focus on them every time I saw that stone. Every time I touched that stone, I knew that my whatever the fuck it was. I don't remember what the things were. Is my attention for my wife supposed to be better because I'm touching the stone, or because I, am thinking about it more? And I think it's more to that it was on the topic of my mind at the time, but it's not the point. It worked, regardless of why.
It did work.
It worked, which is kind of bizarre.
That's true.
But before you go on, I was actually on my phone. I was looking at a ratio. And it's weird. They have men believe in this, in the stone, the crystals.
Yeah,
like 5-1 over women, which is just proof that really? It's about 10 girls who are really into the crystals, and then about 5 guys per girl trying to bang them. I hope that wasn't too far of a stretch for a dumb joke. That was a joke. I did not read any kind of ratio.
How you bash me? That's a long way to go for that kind of shitty joke. Where's your dad jokes of the night? No,
that was a long way to go for that joke. Didn't hit like I wanted it to.
Speaking of going a long way, number 7. We're taking it to another aspect of things that are probably going to upset some of our listeners, and I apologize for this in advance if you're a true believer in this. However, we're going the route of astrology. Not astronomy, the pseudoscience known as astrology.
I'm a Libra.
Horoscopes.lovetoknow.com and a few other, Wikipedia and a few others. All right,
people pay money for astrology too. Like they pay money, these online apps and stuff.
Oh, sure.
You can't get your fucking reading of the day anymore for free. It really pisses me. I mean, I've heard people complaining about it.
Oh, you've heard?
Yeah, I've heard.
You know somebody?
Yeah.
Astrology relies on both its technical and interpretive aspects, with the interpretive portion resting firmly on the technical, whereas Interpretive astrology seeks to unveil the meaning behind planetary placement. The technical aspects of astrology deal with the precise positions, movement, and relation of planetary bodies within the zodiac. That was a quote by Ann Roberts, client-centered astrologer. So she's renowned in this community, in the astrology community. She's written many books on astrology, the whole 9 yards. I just wanted to read that as a quote so you understood where the core beliefs about astrology come from. So what they're saying is our belief in this astrology system is based on real science. These planets move, and that's the organization of the planets in our solar system. That's real science. So our astrology thing is too. No, that's not exactly how it works.
There's a term for that.
Yeah, I could associate my lottery picks based on planetary assignment. That doesn't make it a real science. But I digress. Let's continue. The technological aspects of astrology. Astrology can involve everything from natal charts, so pregnancy charts, to regular tracking of the planets in relation to current events. Regardless of distinction between astrological birth charts and future predictions, both of these fields are built upon fundamentals such as planetary movement throughout the zodiac. Zodiac is a star chart organization system for our planets in our solar system. I think that's probably the layman's way to describe zodiac. Planetary governance, so dependencies of planets and their moons throughout the solar system. An understanding of geography and time. I don't really know how geography ties into that, but okay. And the 12 zodiac archetype. So I'm going to go through those real quick, just so we understand how these things have been defined. And as I'm reading this, and I hate to knock this again, if you're a firm believer in this, good on you. Don't let my little list dissuade you from your beliefs, but I just don't understand how some of these things can be attributed. So let's go through them. Planetary archetypes. Each of the planets governs an energy. Essentially, a planet focuses the flow of an archetype energy into one specific area of growth. The sun, as an example, stands for core values and ambition. The moon, our moon, this Earth's moon, emotional needs and responses. Mercury, communications. Venus, expression of love, tastes, and values. Mars, assertion and desire. Jupiter, consciousness of the greater realms and expansion. Saturn, discipline and integrity. Uranus, freedom.
Sorry.
I knew it was coming.
Oh my God.
I knew it was coming.
Wow. That's so dumb. Like, it actually made me laugh. It wasn't like a Uranus. Like, literally said Uranus, and I fucking started laughing like an 8-year-old.
I hypnotized you earlier to do that because I knew it was coming.
That was hard.
Uranus is freedom of expression. Neptune, artistic expression. And finally, Pluto, which they still have categorized as a planet according to the zodiac.
Dwarf planet.
Transformation, change, often societal. So planetary aspects and angles serve to measure the planets in relation to one another. These aspects require their own interpretation and are thought to vastly affect a chart. Moreover, house systems and the introduction of non-planetary orbiting bodies provide even more nuances of interpretation and energy. Through astrology, God damn it, I did it again. Though astrology is still considered to be metaphysical and it is often labeled as a pseudoscience, it's not hard to see that this craft relies upon very intricate scientific systems. So understand, the entire defense of astrology and its, core values is that it's based on something very scientific and very measured, which is the movement of our planets and our other bodies inside our solar system to affect our personalities, which no scientific association or draw between where the hell the planets were when you were born and whether or not you're going to be a fucking serial killer or, a saint. There is no scientific association to that, but there's a lot of people that believe it. And there's a lot of people that rely on astrological signs to govern their lives, which is very interesting to me.
I wish I could give up that much control.
Right?
I wish I could just be like,
freeing, I guess.
Text me my horoscope for today oh, I'm in a bad mood today. I guess I'm just gonna mope and
supposed to
play
be an
video
asshole
games.
today. Yeah.
Fuck.
All right, I guess so.
I was gonna get stuff done. I thought the sun was coming up because that's ambition, but Jupiter's in the second zenith of the third house, so I better listen to this text message horoscope and sit on my ass.
We do draw comedy out of everything, and in this case, the zodiac and the whole astrology side of the conversation of pseudoscience is very easy to poke fun at. Hopefully, we don't get any negative email about this, but
I hope we do. That's the whole point. I'm such an ass. You're like so scared that like some
scared.
astrology listener, somebody who's in there, so I'm never listening to that fucking show again.
It's a good point. Astrology listeners probably don't listen to us anyway.
Probably not, because we do so much stuff that's actual science. I'm sure they weren't interested.
This is true.
Did somebody say pseudoscience?
I can
subscribe.
I can think of a bunch of groups of people that probably aren't interested in our podcast because we talk a lot about actual science.
Yeah, that's a good point. Except this episode. This episode ain't talking about real science. It's talking about some pseudoscience.
It's pretty much talking about, like you said, pseudoscience.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily debunking them as much as we're just fucking making fun of them.
You know, I used to love reading. Let's ask this. Ron, do you know what your sign is? What your zodiac sign is?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Got it. Josh, you know what you are?
I'm a Libra.
Libra. I'm Cancer.
You're a crab.
What the fuck? Those don't have anything to do with who we are as people. I hate to tell you that. When people say, "Oh, Libras are dicks," or if you're a Libra, you can never be hooked up with a Cancer, or whatever the fuck, it doesn't make any sense to me.
If all of us are made from matter that has always existed and will always exist everywhere, why not?
I like you're pulling into Newton.
I think so, or maybe Einstein. I don't know.
Matter cannot be created nor destroyed, only transformed.
Exactly.
I think that's
so. Supposedly,
Newton, but that might
supposedly we're a part of. Our bodies are made of a part of
Starlight.
Everything from the entire universe that ever existed or will exist. We have parts of us that are from every living creature ever anywhere in this entire universe. That's what science says. So why doesn't it affect you? I'm just playing some devil's advocate right now.
I see what you're doing there.
What about the thing you've mentioned a couple times about the existence of our universe? You've said something about how we're connected to something's really far away.
Quantum entanglement?
Yeah, quantum entanglement. So if we can have quantum entanglement, why can't the planets affect the way our personality is?
Well, one exists as a fundamental law of mathematics and the universe. And the other one is made up. And I'm not even going to go further. Which one is which? I don't even need to go further.
No, I understand, but I'm asking you,
it's a very good generalization.
If quantum entanglement does exist, then why can't astrology be part of that theory?
No, because we can prove and have proven quantum entanglement. You can't. The whole point is the pseudoscience is that there's enough people that have said subjectively the result is what they would want, whether it's ESP or whether it's a horoscope, but there is no scientific way to back them. That's a
fantastic summary. The inability to scientifically prove something that you have to that you may want to believe in doesn't make it right, or doesn't, like, false or true. It just shows that it can't be proven.
Well, there's a lot of things in science that aren't proven. We still don't know how life started on Earth.
Then they're theories. They're not scientific fact.
Okay.
There are theories.
So astrology could just be an unproven theory.
Yes, 100%.
You're
100%.
It is definitely an unproven theory.
I am literally just playing devil's advocate. Just
I appreciate that.
No,
I do. Okay. I appreciate that, because the listeners are probably going to ask similar questions that support some of these pseudosciences. So no, that's a valid question. There could be something that we discover later, or that we can scientifically prove later, because we know that we're not naive enough of a species to think that we've solved everything in the universe scientifically so far. We know that we're still making discoveries every single day. So there may be one of these days something that can scientifically prove that the plate where fucking Mars is in comparison to Uranus is going to change your effect of who you are as a person when you're born, or for that particular day. Maybe one day that will actually happen. Maybe magnetic shifting of poles, or who the fuck knows. Maybe that will come out. Right now, it's just theory. There is nothing to back it up. So, like several of these theories, to include no scientific evidence to support number 6.
I'm ready.
You're on it tonight. That's good.
Religion.
Oh, Oh man!
Now I'm not going to go. So this one's very
That was
short.
the right way to do it.
We just got rid of 1 billion listeners we had.
So listen, I'm not going to narrow down to any specific religion. I'm not going to, classify all of them. In fact, my notes on religion are literally just this bottom part of this page. All right. So I threw this in there as number 6 to close out this half of the episode, but I think it's relevant to point out. So there's a lot of sources out there that you can get some of this information on. Psychologytoday.com, connect.springerpub.com are just some of the ones that I pulled a couple of these quotes from. Science focuses on testable claims and hypotheses, whereas religion focuses on individual beliefs and faith. Quote, the arguments in favor of ghosts, alternative medicine, and ancient aliens are very similar to the arguments of angels, the power of prayer, and God. David Johnson, PhD. There are many religiously influenced groups that actively oppose the teaching of evolution in schools or want to supplement it by teaching theistic creation as a scientifically valid alternative called intelligent design. So that's another quote coming out of the school board, out of the school systems. That's all that I've really got on this. I'm using a couple of examples here of some scientifically founded, scientifically based religions that have evolved into a larger faith-based religion source. A great example of that is Scientology. Scientology was written as a science fiction originally by L. Ron Hubbard, and it has metamorphosized into this
an actual religion.
But it's alternate. Let's look at its flip. I think, and forgive me if I'm screwing this up, but I think this was a master's thesis that this guy wrote for his college.
MIT.
You know where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. He wrote his master's thesis on a particular church that he was creating and ended up getting his church recognized nationally. In his driver's license and his ID, he is allowed to wear his hat that is representative of his religion, which is a spaghetti strainer.
Are you serious?
It's dead serious. He founded the church of the FSM. The flying spaghetti monster.
That's right. Okay.
Here's the catch. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, are definitively supporting the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster now.
Sheeple.
I mean, they need it though. I mean, they need it. So I threw religion in here not to instigate the fights, but I think that the sciences that come out of religion are important to point out because they are pseudosciences. They're unfounded claims of sciences in general, unprovable claims that can happen through any of the religions of the world.
So I got some devil's advocate again.
Yeah, do it.
He appreciates that.
So grand design, right? That's when we think about grand design, we think about creationism. So what about the great filter?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that like how is it that we can have this concept, this scientific concept of the great filter, and not say, well, how could that be if it's not grand design? How then it's just coincidence.
You know that none of us in this room are knowledgeable enough to answer. Maybe nobody in the state or U.S. are knowledgeable enough to answer the question definitively. We can provide theories on that comparison. On one hand, creationism could have meant that the great filter. So I guess we have to define this a little bit for our listeners. The great filter is just simply something that is placed in front of any evolving civilization like humanity that could be the cataclysmic end to your civilization and inability to progress further.
It pretty much keeps you from progressing on to taking over another civilization across the universe. Bottom line. That's why it's just another theory of why haven't we seen aliens?
It could be like, for example, the great filter for the dinosaurs was that asteroid. That was their great filter, not their creation, but it was still there. That was their great filter they had to pass. A lot of people theorize and speculate that humanity hasn't hit our great filter yet. They think that these large hadron colliders might be our great filter moment in in our time. But
there's a whole bunch of things waiting to be our fucking great filter. So it's gonna all be at once. Climate change,
but it's anything that will
all
stop,
kind of stuff.
The great filter means anything that will stop the future growth and evolution of a civilization
and possibly eliminate that civilization altogether.
Correct. That's the great filter. So your question ties: how do you tie together the great filter with creationism? Well, very straightforwardly, creationism could have built in the great filter for us to never have to worry about seeing anyone else in our universe because they all had the same great filter and none of us can get past it.
Yes.
That could be one interpretation of it. The other one could simply be that many of these other civilizations that could exist out there in the universe have already passed through their great filter, have progressed and evolved to past that point, but just haven't quite made it here yet. Or we haven't seen their evidence because of how long light takes to travel and how fast space advances and expands. So that could be part of the great filters, that we haven't waited around long enough yet. We've got a couple more billion years until we start seeing ticks from their orbiting satellites around, our solar system. So who the hell knows? I don't know, Ron.
I'm just throwing it out there.
No, that's a great theory. I'll tell you what our great filter is for the Twisted 10 podcast. That's coming up on this break right now. All right, we'll be back in studio with the next 5 after this. We'll be back, guys.
I think they play safe bets that I never get this off my chest. But since then I learned better, though it took me forever. Born and raised in a pasture until family disaster. The only other road went straight southern for the East Coast. But ever since that I arrived, all the talk about was leaving. And I could care less about some changing of the seasons. And they ain't never lived nowhere, they thought that it was freezing. They don't know what they believe in. For the sun, wind and rain, I never change a thing, because you see me all the way till the judgment day. In the city, as by the sea, that's where I should be. And if it's drowning, well, I'll be swimming. In the city, as by the sea.
That is a big ass cake too.
I mean, it's big that
Just
way.
rub it in. God.
I told you not to fucking get in the middle of a fat man and his cake. I grew ESP just to be able to fucking.
His ES penis was big.
My ES penis.
That's a hell of a way to bring the show back, and welcome back to the Twisted 10. This week is my week, and it is the top 10 pseudosciences. To recap them real quick, number 10 was Ron's ES penis. Number 9 was hypnosis, which we dove pretty deep into. Number 8 was crystals and healing power specifically, but crystals and their energy in general.
White Castle.
And White Castle. Number 7 was astrology, not astronomy, astrology. And number 6, I dipped my toes into the water that is known as religion as a pseudoscience. So it's important, I think, to throw on the list, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. So that brings us to number 5. This one's a lot more focused, a lot more narrow in scope, but has been around for literally thousands of years. In fact, it was referenced in the Bible. Do you guys know what divination is?
Yes.
What's divination?
No idea. I just heard of the word.
You talking about like water divining?
There
like
you go.
water,
Divining.
yeah.
Yes. Using divining rods.
I've used one.
Have you really?
It was. I'll tell the story, but
okay. Wikipedia, allaboutspirituality.org. Again, I'm throwing these references out there just so you guys know where I get some of this information from. Dowsing, aka divination, is a type of divination used in an attempt to locate groundwater, buried metals or ores, gemstones, oils, and that was ores, Ron, not whores, gemstones, and many other objects of materials without the use of scientific apparatus. Dowsing is also known as divining. Dowsing is a method by which people use a special device called a divining rod. The divining rod consists of a long stick, which is forked, and the person holding it grasps the forked ends lightly, and the elongated end is pointed towards the ground. So think of a Y stick. Think of it like a wishbone, but the bottom of the Y of the wishbone is a little longer than the two forks are. Sorry, I lost my location. It is believed that the rod then moves downward or upwards independently when the person walks directly over the ground where the water or other material is present. Oftentimes on these divining rods, you'll see people attach something to the end of an earth metal, like a copper nugget, or maybe even sometimes it's gold coated or whatever. There's apparently certain materials are supposed to do different things and have different reactions. Is I boring you over there, Josh?
No,
you're
sorry,
good.
I thought I moved
It is
away
late.
this time.
No, you're okay.
Nah, kids.
This method has existed for thousands of years, and the original use was practiced for divination purposes. During the Middle Ages, dowsing was associated with the devil. It's the devil. And in 1659, it was considered to be satanic. Dowsing is practiced today, originated in Germany in the 15th century when it was used to locate metals. The technique then spread to England with German miners who came to England to work in the coal mines. Working in the coal mine. All right, in religion, there is one direct reference to dowsing in the Bible, and it is condemned by God. In Hosea section 4, chapter 12, paragraph, I don't know. It says, "My people consult their wooden idol, and their diviner's wand informs them, for a spirit of harlotry has led them astray, and they have played the harlot, departing from their God," unquote. From this verse, we see that dowsing is a form of divination. So,
is waterboarding a form of divination?
I don't know. Does the guy that you're waterboarding point down when he finds water or gold or something under the ground? Back in the day, so this is circa 2000, I worked at a company called Gateway Computers. I used to sell computers. And in retail, Ron, you probably know this, you get a lot of fucking crazy people that come through your doors wanting to buy your product.
What?
Especially
No way.
at Books A Million.
Especially
I'm
at a fucking bookstore. You get a lot of crazy.
I had this guy came in and he spent a lot of money. He spent like $3,000 on a computer back in 2000, which is a pretty good amount of money. So he came in and he spent a lot of money and he wanted some help setting it up. And at the time they offered a service and I happened to be the guy that got the service.
Was it that big like
the
theater
destination?
No, that thing was so fucking cool. Back in the day.
The Gateway Destination was awesome. A
Yeah.
swinger couple bought that thing from me and they wanted me over to help set it up. quote unquote.
Hell yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
wow, you didn't go, right?
No, I went, but I didn't partake in what they wanted to do. Long story, another podcast. Maybe that's an after show conversation.
It sounds like it.
Anyway, so this guy bought this computer and he wanted some help setting it up. So I took the extra money for going to assist in setting it up and drove out to his house and did his thing. It was not that this justifies anything. He had a lot of money to spend, but he obviously didn't spend it on his house. He was living in an old rundown trailer. All right. So not to say that trailer trash is whatever. He just didn't spend his money towards his home. So he wanted to set up a website, run an e-commerce business. This is back in 2000s. This is before really a lot of the big platforms for e-commerce existed. So he wanted to know how to code. He wanted to know all this shit. I didn't know how to do that stuff at the time. Still don't know how to do most of it now. Anyway, his whole practice was in divining rods. He wanted to sell divining rods that he makes custom. So he started going through this entire speech with me, like giving me his sales pitch on what these divining rods do. And I was naive, a little less experienced than I am now. So he gave me a divining rod to take home and play with. So I'm fucking in my house with my girlfriend at the time, walking around my yard with this fucking divining rod, thinking that I've got all sorts of shit underneath my ground in Merritt Island, Florida, when all that's down there is really limestone. But, I'm thinking, holy shit, this thing keeps pointing down at the ground. There must be some amazing aquifer down here, or must be some gold underneath it must be amazing. Then I did a little bit of research online at the time and realized that it was all a bunch of bullshit back then.
Of the 4 websites that were available to search in 2000.
Yeah. So I logged onto AOL.com and
Exactly. You've got mail.
Yeah. So I figured out back then that this guy was just fucking crazy and then this was pseudoscience. That might have been my first step into the pseudosciences. But yeah, that's divining rods. It's still used today, still practiced today. Absolutely no merit and no evidence scientifically to support this case at all. But it is still, there's companies, you can hire a divining company to come out and search your grounds at your house to find buried cables, to find water, to find whatever they want. Whatever you want them to find.
Strange. So when I was in high school, my third high school, I graduated from Cocoa Beach. Third, not because I dropped out as a military kid. So I had 3 high schools. So it's whatever. I didn't carry a lot of friends from my childhood into being an adult. It's kind of a weird thing. But so I had a physics teacher who was eventually let go for conflicts with administration, is how I'm going to put it. He was a wonderful guy. He took our physics class out one day, super nice out, and he said, "We're gonna go out. We're gonna do dowsing rods. I'm gonna show you guys this thing." And he
boy,
yeah. So he's like, I have 10 of them or whatever. He broke us up into 2s or 3s or whatever, and he's like, "I have buried a few things out here as a field at the school." He's like, "I buried a few things, and if you can find them, I'll give you $20. $20 on his desk." He's like, "If you can find them, I'll give you $20." And he explains how it works, and you got to walk with it and whatever. Make sure nobody's in front of you, so it doesn't. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of weird rules. And so we went out there and
wear your purple cape, drink the Kool-Aid,
drink the Mio.
So I mean, but he sold it, and this is a guy like he's very grounded. He always had been. It was a strange day, but I was like, oh fuck it, outside high school, fuck it, yeah sure, whatever.
Like
okay, just stick around, I'll give a shit. It wasn't even like a field trip. It was just 20 minutes outside, anyways. So we walked the field, and it was most people found nothing naturally. A few people found something, and he's like, all right, cool, we'll put your flag in. We put little flags in the ground. We go inside, and he's like, all right, cool, so check it out. Totally fake, and it doesn't mean anything. And those of you who found something, you're fucking gullible. So he doesn't work there anymore.
That's awesome, though.
Yes, but it was a wonderful way to try and teach, at least at this point. Just like you can read a ton of shit online, but you need to critically think about what's being presented to you.
I love creative education like that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, he was a good teacher. He sticks out when I think about all the schools that I went to.
We're talking about divining rod, and you said sticks out. I see what you did there, buddy. Man. Ron, when you were in school, did they ever teach you anything about number 4?
I don't know what number 4 is.
Phrenology.
I never heard of that.
You know what phrenology is?
Nope.
I don't know that term either. Or at least I don't know by that term, if nothing else.
Okay. So this is, so moving on to number 4. Number 4 is phrenology, defined, and most of this just came from Wikipedia, just so you know. Defined as the detailed study of the shape and size of the cranium, so your noggin, as a supposed indication of character and mental abilities.
Oh, so the word knowledge isn't the key, like as part of that phrenology. Knowledge.
Well, the ology is the study of, and the
knowledge, the knowing the study of. I'm just fucking with you. I have no idea. When I break it down into the Greek,
I reference this back. Yes, I reference this back to you, fucker. I know what you did there because of our word of the day thing. All right, Latin,
a dick,
not Greek, Latin. But when I take this back to my childhood as a kid, again, this is a lot older than just 2000. But as a kid, I saw Bugs Bunny. I used to love Bugs Bunny cartoon, and Bugs Bunny often did like improv scenes where he would dress up like a doctor or dress up like a mailman or he'd do whatever.
So Bugs Bunny, somebody wasn't drawing him and doing the voice; he was just doing his own improv thing. Is that what we're supposed to believe?
No, it's a skit inside his cartoon.
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
In one of these skits, he's got. I think it's Elmer Fudd sitting in front of him on a table, and he said, Bugs Bunny puts on his spectacle and his suit, and he comes over with a hammer and he says, I am a phrenologist. I study the lumps in your head. I don't see any. I'll make some. And so he beats the shit out of Elmer Fudd's head and creates a bunch of lumps. But it's kind of the thesis behind this. It's the study of the brain, the exterior of your head, and how it's shaped to determine your personality, your characteristics of your person, and your breadth and depth of knowledge. So it's a very interesting way to study for this. So let's read through this a little bit. Phrenology is based on the concept that the brain is an organ of the mind, which is, true, and that certain brain areas have localized specific functions or modules. Although both of these ideas have basis in reality, phrenology extrapolated beyond empirical knowledge in a way that departed from science. So what that's meaning is certain parts of the brain do certain things. As an example, neuroscience is kind of a hobby of mine. So, and you know this, Ron, don't give me a look like I'm an asshole again. But
I'm not. I'm listening. I'm just watching.
The prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain right here, is where your personality comes from. So what makes you is in your prefrontal cortex. And what makes a serial killer is also in that prefrontal cortex. Now, they've discovered some serial killers have tumors that hit other parts of their brain, which also drives that prefrontal cortex kind of crazy. So there is a scientific explanation for some serial killers, not all of them. But that also leads back to lobotomies. We've talked about that in the past on some Twisted Tens. A lobotomy, the old school horrible practice of a lobotomy, was to take an ice pick up through the eye socket and just kind of scramble that prefrontal cortex around. You can completely survive without that prefrontal cortex even being there. What you'll lose is all of your motivation, all of your drive, all of who you are as a person. They do it now chemically. Some people have been chemically lobotomized. I say they do it.
Become like a pod person.
Yeah, you literally, I mean, you can function, you can do your job, you can do your tasks, you can live your life, you can do everything, but you are just 100% fucking zombie at that point. A lobotomy just messes up that whole prefrontal cortex, turns it into gelatin. They used to do it with picks, now they do it with medicine. But anyway, the point is, phrenology was the original science that led to the discovery that certain parts of the brain and locations in the brain affect different parts of a human being's functioning, how you function, where your memory is stored, how certain parts of the brain react when certain stimuli are given, where your orgasms come from. I mean, everything is different parts of the brain.
My orgasms come from Josh.
He's a member of my OnlyFans, $5 a month.
Plug. You have more subscribers on that than we do our Patreon.
Nice.
Developed by German physician Franz Joseph Gall in 1796, the discipline was influential in the 19th century, especially from the 1810 to 1840 timeframes. The principal British Centre for Phrenology was Edinburgh, where Edinburgh Phrenology Society was established in 1820. The methodological rigor of phrenology was doubtful even for the standards of its time, since many authors already regarded phrenology as a pseudoscience in the 19th century. So even back in its original inception, it was considered pseudoscience. Phrenology thinking was influenced in the psychiatry and psychological studies of the 19th century. Gall's assumption that character, thoughts, and emotions are located in specific areas of the brain is considered an important historical advance towards neuropsychology, and neurobiology. So understanding that those different parts of the brain represent different things about how a human being exists is important, and it all began with this phrenology idea, this phrenology studies. Granted, we would have figured it out later anyway through neuroscience. However, that's where it got its roots from.
Interesting.
Lumps on the brain, man. Lumps on the head.
Lumps in the head. So the act of lobotomizing somebody is phrenology or part of it, or
No.
is that a pseudoscience? Is lobotomizing people a pseudoscience?
No, that's a real deal. That pseudoscience is a real. Now is considered the old school practice of actually impaling the brain and damaging the brain is considered a medieval practice. I mean, it did what it said it claimed to do. It took away the impulses and the desires and the thought processes. Often lobotomies were done at asylums. So like in the early turn of the century, 1900s, lobotomies were really, really popular because you could control your patients far better at that. But if you have a patient that's clinically insane, like by today's standards, they would be heavily medicated or they would be under certain types of other types of treatment. Not to say that today is perfect. I'm sure 100 years from now, we'll see some things we do now and be like, oh, what the fuck were we thinking back then? However, now at least we understand enough to be able to diagnose somebody with what they actually have, as opposed to just fucking scrambling eggs inside their brain to get them to be under control.
Gotcha.
So it was only a control measure back in the 1900s. I mean, people were literally suicidal and they would give that to them. You guys ready for number 3?
I am.
So this is an interesting one, and I threw this in here. I admittedly know very little about this topic, but it was incredibly interesting, and it is a everyday term used in the United States and around other, Western civilized cultures. And it is the study of feng shui.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
So the spruce.com, it was the main source for this. Do you know what feng shui is, Ron?
Isn't that the thought process about trying to create an environment that gives you something about relaxing, or do I have that wrong?
So yeah, Ron, you're on the right track. It is manipulating your environment.
Oh, okay. Because you were looking at me like, I was like, no, it's nothing.
No,
you were giving me a look like I was way off. I was like, I don't think I'm way
you
off.
got it. You got it.
Okay.
It's manipulating your environment to match certain goals. And here, let's go into this a little bit, and this will kind of probably shape your thoughts a little bit more on it. The philosophy of feng shui is a practice of arranging the pieces in living spaces in order to create balance with the natural world. The goal is to harness energy forces and establish harmony between an individual and their environment. The Chinese word feng and shui translate to mean wind and water. This concept derived from an ancient poem that talks about human life being connected and flowing with the environment around it. The feng shui bagua, and forgive me, bagua map. The bagua is the feng shui energy map superimposed on the floor plan of your home. The Chinese word bagua translates to mean 8 areas. Each of the 8 areas relates to the different life circumstances such as family, wealth, career, and it goes on and on. Each of these areas has corresponding shapes, colors, seasons, numbers, and earthly elements. At the center of the bagua, a 9th area is you, representing your overall health and wellness. There are several feng shui schools of thought. All of them use baguas when analyzing your home or your environment. Some may apply the bagua in different ways. So using this ancient form of energy harnessing, you would have a feng shui specialist or feng shui trained person or certified individual come into your home or your office or your football stadium or whatever the hell, your environment is that you're trying to curtail certain types of energy, and have you arrange your environment, your furniture, your decorations, your living spaces, your colors, your sounds, everything. They would have it arranged to what your goals are. If you wanted your goals in your office to be aligned towards productivity, well, there's a certain way you have to set up your office according to feng shui to make that more attainable. Or at home, if you wanted to have your room set up for love and romance, there's a certain way you do that as well. Feng shui has just as many deep dive rabbit holes as astrology does. You can go down and look at all the different bagua maps and set up your home or your lifestyle in the way of feng shui, and you could go down this rabbit hole for eons and eons and eons. None of it is backed by any empirical scientific evidence at all.
It's backed
Zero.
by even less than astrology.
Yeah, in astrology, at least you have a scientific practice of the paths that the planets and the celestial bodies take in our system that they've founded their beliefs on. Feng shui doesn't even have that.
Well, okay, so devil's advocate again.
Sure.
Is placebo founded in science?
Yes.
The concept.
Okay,
then why wouldn't feng shui be when it's probably just placebo?
Well,
it's
then
a placebo
it wouldn't
effect.
be called feng shui. It would be called placebo.
But no, feng shui is a certain type of placebo effect. In this case, it's how you adjust your environment to try and get a certain outcome, meet your goals, as you said. But it's all based off placebo effect. It's just your mind wanting to do it. So if placebo is scientific, why isn't feng shui?
So feng shui, or really what your question could be applied to really most of this list.
Yes.
If we're just generalizing it. Placebo is a description of a result. The belief system, at least on this number, the system is feng shui. So the belief and the system, and where it becomes a pseudoscience, is that yes, we understand that it works because of placebo effect. There's the only rational explanation we have is placebo. It's sort of a placeholder answer, really, but it's not, we do this because there's a placebo effect. It's, we believe that if we put a bamboo mat and the color green on your entryway, it will be more inviting to the energy of nature outside of your front door. So it's not, it's how it's guided. So yes, we can apply, yes, this is mostly placebo, but they don't believe we do this so people feel better when they come home. We do this so energy is being brought in. And I'm making that up. That's generalizing what feng shui is supposed to be.
Right.
But
Nobody uses bamboo mats anymore.
that's what I'm saying. And green in the entryway? How taboo.
It's so 90s.
So there are certain scientific elements to colors, sounds, shapes, designs that do affect personality,
I was
do
going to
affect
say
everything.
that. When we started to revamp, we go behind, peel the curtain back a little bit. When we looked into revamping our Twisted 10 logo and our colors,
Yes.
we were looking at what colors are geared
Absolutely.
towards this, what shapes, what's everything.
Why do you think
is that pseudoscience? Were we wasting our time and we should just pick
That's-
something we like?
That's real science.
What is the difference then between that and picking colors in your house?
Here's where it becomes real science. When we did the Twisted 10 logo, we didn't say by using the color yellow, it will incorporate the super spiritual magic power of bees. Gold. So by incorporating the color yellow, we don't have earth elementals that come in and power our electronics. So we understand what psychological effect that has. And we chose gold. Sorry. We chose gold. I should know our own colors. We chose gold because of how we know it we sought the response because we understand the science behind, or we leaned on the expertise of people who understand the science of color on the human brain.
We based our decisions on scientific research. Feng Shui bases their decisions on arbitrary sets of texts from hundreds, maybe 1,000 years ago. I don't know. I didn't read that too deep.
So if somebody could like recreate the whole concept of feng shui, but do it based off scientific research instead of the bullshit that's used for feng shui,
Yes.
then maybe possibly feng shui could be considered like something real. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of harnessing energies of water and earth and all the elements and stuff like that,
that part's
if you
dumb.
harnessed scientific research of, desired palettes of preference for certain types of environments based on current research that has been done, you have then just reinvented the wheel and you may have just hit $1 million idea.
Write that shit down. Submit it as your thesis.
Yeah, I have no interest whatsoever. But I was just I was just throwing it out there.
Now, I will give credit where credit is due. Feng Shui, every Feng Shui, like truly Feng Shui designed environment that I've ever been in, and a lot of these larger places, like you might go to some stadiums, you might go to some corporate high-end offices or something like that. Everyone who has incorporated Feng Shui into their environment, I will say it is a noticeable difference from your cookie cutter locations that you can compare them to. So if you go into an office space that is a Feng Shui designed location, it does feel better. It does feel more acceptable, more friendly, less regimented towards, cubicle farms, as an example. Yeah, it does feel better. So I will give some credit towards Feng Shui. If you do practice it and you do put that thought process into the design of your home or your workspace or anything in that matter, my experiences have all been positive with it. So I think it looks good. I think that the patterns and the soft pastels and some of the, the design, like I'll give you an example. One of the attributes of Feng Shui for the bedroom is to place your bed with where you, as the dominant person for the room, all right, maybe that's your wife, maybe that, whatever the case is, you want the dominant person to be at a diagonal with direct view of the door leading into the room. Now, a lot of, like my wife has even said, she wants me to be closer to the door. That way, in case there's an intruder, I'm the first one that can defend it. Yes, that's kind of a funny little joke. However, that's nested in some sort of satiated belief that she has, that she feels more comfortable if I'm closer to the door than she is. Yeah. That's just
my
in her
wife's
DNA.
Exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Like whenever any place we are, I have to be closer to the door, the window.
That thought process is part of the reason why Feng Shui is so popular, because it uses that same style of design, the design thought process into how they establish all the different aspects. So not just power and dominance in a room like that, because that would be a dominance kind of thing, but easement, airflow, it's all incorporated in there. You can go down this huge rabbit hole, but there's no real science that backs it up. It's just interpretive perceptions.
See, that's where I'm at. Like, if you take all of the spirituality out of it, it's just
interior design,
very minimal. interior design. I just love the combination of nature and industry.
Yeah, that's different.
That's what I'm saying. Just like the design that comes out of it. Like it's pseudoscience that gets me there, but just that, like you said, that comfortable sort of more muted environment. It's less about the building. It's just I like the design. It's just
often
nice.
Often feng shui has a lot of auditory elements built into a room design too. So
a lot of water.
Yeah. You'll have a lot of nature sounds or something like that. But anyway,
my mom got super big into it.
Oh, really?
Not at the spiritual level, but just at the design level.
Yeah, they lose me at the energy piece. When you start talking about your energy flow is going to be better you fucking lost me. There is no energy in the room other than what's coming out of the fucking double D vibrator that my wife has under the bed. That's about the energy. Anyway, just kidding. She doesn't use double D vibrators.
I'm sorry. You ready to move on?
No.
There's one other side to it that I thought was relevant. And you talk about the energy flow through a space, and that, of course, is kind of a silly sentence. However, we can look at, to use an analogy. You familiar with the Fibonacci sequence on the Renaissance pictures?
Yes.
And I
that almost made the list.
Did it? I just didn't. General numerology.
Mm-hmm. Numerology in general, yes, but it didn't.
I was waiting for it to show up.
There's some real science behind some of the numerology, so I didn't want to.
That's true.
It's half and half to me. Well, maybe not even half and half, but yeah. Do you know what he's talking about? The Fibonacci sequence?
Nope.
It's seen in nature so much. You gotta take it, Josh. This is your. It's a bonus.
That's a whole. So the Fibonacci sequence is basically the prime numbers. It's not the prime number sequence. I forget what the math is. It adds and then doubles.
It's a repeating pattern of some kind. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I forget what it's a very simple equation. It's basically like take a number and you double it and then you double it again. I don't know, something weird like that. But you can apply it to so much. But if you're familiar with the Renaissance painting in particular, you can look at the same picture without it, and then they'll transpose the spiral on top. You've seen this at least the decreasing radius spiral.
Yes.
So that is a visualization of the Fibonacci sequence. And your eyes in Renaissance painting, I don't know if they did it as Fibonacci bound design, but you can follow Renaissance paintings. You can almost to every major masterpiece from the Enlightened Renaissance, you can follow the spiral. And it's not that you can follow it. It's that your eyes will naturally follow it. It's that they have designed it in such a way. So I use that as my analogy. Then we talk about energy flowing through a space. It sounds a bit like hokum, but if you design a space correctly, maybe not controlling energy flow through it, but if you walk into a room and your eyes are then drawn to the bench and then you sit down, and then as you're sitting, your eyes are then drawn to the distant window at the back side of the room, then your eyes are drawn up, and then that draws you farther up. So then you see the light fixture on the ceiling. And so maybe not controlling energy through a space, but if you can control attention in that space just through the use of architecture and design, it becomes less hokey and more, it starts to make more sense. Because then you can control just those senses through it. You talk about auditory, and I always go to water, but like you're drawn, you walk into a new room, and then you start to hear what might have been obscured behind a wall. You start to hear a water feature, a small fountain or something on a desk, whatever. But you hear that, you enter a space, and then you get the new space and the new sound, and maybe if there's a candle, same kind of like concept. You just change how your senses are focused as you go through different rooms, and it can have that sort of drawing and controlled effect through a space.
The Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio are often used together. The golden ratio is the most recognized human I don't know the right choice of words to say this. The human eye is comfortable seeing in a certain aspect ratio and a certain pattern, an evolving pattern. The golden ratio is used for that exactly. It's just talking about those, using the Fibonacci sequence, using those concentric spirals that go down upon each other. All the major logos that are out there, Coca-Cola to Pepsi to you name it, AT&T, whatever the industry is, they've all based their logo on this golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence. It's very interesting because it plays a trick on the human eye. The human eye sees in widescreen, all right, so to speak. You don't see in tall and narrow screen you see in this widescreen format, kind of like a 16:9 aspect ratio. That's kind of how you see.
Yeah.
So these Fibonacci sequences and golden ratios are built around that same pattern of thought. Here's the really ironic part about this. The Fibonacci sequence has also been cited as being the fingerprint of God. And the reason that that's there, the reason that that's stated is because you can see the Fibonacci sequence to precision. And I'm not talking about, oh, that's close, that's the Fibonacci sequence. No, I'm talking about to precision in things like strands of DNA, pine cones, grains of sand under a microscope, planetary systems, solar systems. You can see the exact definition of the Fibonacci sequence, mathematically speaking, in all of those things. So a lot of people call that the fingerprint of God. It's really interesting. Speaking of the fingerprint of God, let's move on to number 2. Yeah, that one wasn't a very good transition, but
that's all right. Hey, sometimes you got to pump the beach ball back up.
Yeah. Do you know what EVP is, Ron? I know Tach would know this if he was here. Do you know what EVP is?
Don't
no,
think so.
Josh?
I don't either.
Electronic voice phenomena.
Yes.
Phenomena. Bada. All right, from liveabout.com and Wikipedia. All right, so this has fascinated me because I've done, for the majority of our time, I've done a lot of the editing on our podcasts. And occasionally, I'll hear something that in our podcast recordings that really draws my attention to filter down, narrow down, and really zoom in, eliminate all the noise, filter out us, filter out what's going on in the show, and listen, what the fuck was that sound? Because I want to know what the fuck it was. Oftentimes I'll just end up junking it because it's too much work. I can't figure it out. But here's the detail about electronic voice phenomenon. Mankind has long believed that it's possible to communicate with the dead. Attempts to do so have been made over the centuries through oracles, seances, mediums, and psychics. Today, with a variety of electronic equipment at our disposal, there might be an easier, more effective way to converse with the spirit world. And whether or not the results are actual communication with the dead or something else, the results are very, very real. So this is one of these in this list that is 100% based on evidence, but there's no explanation for this. Let me rephrase that. There are explanations, but there are none that are proven. Anyway,
none that we can apply the scientific method to.
Yes, that's true. Electronic voice phenomenon, or more commonly known as EVP, is a mysterious event in which human-sounding voices from an unknown source can be heard on recorded data from audio tape, radio station noise, and other electronic media. EVPs have been captured on audio tape more than any other media, but the mysterious voices aren't present at the time of the recording. It's only when the tape is played back, sometimes with the application of amplification and noise filtering, that the voices can be heard. It'd be interesting if there's a ghost in here right now. Ron, when you're editing this, listen, I want you to crank it up right here. If there's a ghost, talk on this electronic medium that we're recording on right now. All right, I didn't hear anything, but EVP, you wouldn't hear it until you're editing, Ron.
I'm totally going to edit something.
Some cases,
and tell you guys, this is what I heard, I swear.
What's going to really fuck them up is that there's a trail still on this memory card from an old recording, like an article. No, what am I trying to say? An orphan file or something that's being held onto that he's going to hear when he cranks it up. All right, anyway.
No, I can't wait to listen now. Like I'm dying to go listen.
Some cases even have EVP recorded voice recording directly to questions being asked by the person performing the recording. So where did EVP come from? Meaning what that meant was we're setting it up, like we just set it up. There's even been responses, like no shit, not manipulated, but real responses to questions that are coming in that you can somehow hear. So where did EVP come from? Voices of the dead. Here's some theories. Voices of the dead, voices from another dimension, which I really find fascinating. The researcher's subconscious. It's an interesting theory, is that you're somehow projecting an answer to a question that you're asking for that EVP to register, which means somehow this microphone has to hear your subconscious, which is, again, hokum, but whatever. Angels or demons is another one. And then the final one is probably the best one. The final possible source for EVP, hoaxes. So psychology and perception. Auditory pareidolia. I said we were going to talk about this earlier before the show. Auditory pareidolia, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that word, is a situation created when the brain incorrectly interprets random patterns as being familiar patterns. Remember when my son was down here looking at Josh's new tapestry up on the wall, and he was able to see shapes that maybe none of us else could see. Like he said, he saw a horse in it and things like that. That's his brain forming patterns around something that is indistinctly a pattern. So that's regular pareidolia, whatever the fuck the word is.
It's pareidolia.
Pareidolia?
I think so.
I think I typoed it. Anyway, this one's auditory. So this is the same concept, just built around auditory senses. The propensity for an apparent voice heard in white noise recordings to be in a language understood well by those researching it, rather in an unfamiliar language, has been cited as evidence of this. So do all ghosts speak English? No, not necessarily. You could be in the middle of, the jungle in the Sahara, and you ask that question. If you get some EVP on there, well, why is it suddenly in English? Anyway, in a broad class of phenomenon referred to by the author Joe Banks as Rorschach audio has been described as a global explanation for all manifestations of EVP, which is kind of cool too. Audio Rorschach.
So we just fill in that blank. It's just white noise or something that we ascribe meaning to.
Yes, and that we can manipulate so that we think we're hearing something. If I like, this goes back to that Laurel and Yanny.
I was just going to say Laurel and Yanny.
Not Laurel and Hardy.
Not Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, Laurel and Yanny.
Yeah,
what
Laurel
do you hear?
and Yanny. Yeah, what do you hear?
That's auditory pareidolia.
I don't remember what I hear. I think it's Yanny, but
I don't remember either.
I remember that I don't remember what it was, but I remember that I heard the opposite of what the three of. Who else was here that
Tach
night?
was here. He brought that in at one point. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. But EVP, so Tach does this a lot. When he was here before, when he was living in Florida before he moved to Virginia for a year, he was part of a paranormal group that would go out looking for ghosts, and he talked about that on our shows a little bit.
Yeah, Space Coast Paranormal Society. It was actually, I know, I think her name's Stormy. I'm on Facebook with her. I was going to have her maybe come in and do a list for us.
Dude, that'd be a blast.
Yeah.
Oh, we need a paranormal list. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got it on my list of possible lists.
Well, dude,
with her specifically to maybe.
I would love to hear about some EVP, because they even did a movie. Have you ever seen the movie White Noise? That was
I have it. That's with Michael Keaton, right?
Yes.
But I haven't seen it. No.
It's good. It's really, really good. Of course, they take it. It's dramatized, and it's not based in any kind of true story or anything, but it's built around ghosts that are communicating through white noise, and he's capturing it and whatever. It's a whole story that unfolds. But yes, that's the concept, and that's real. I mean, there are real in this research. I could have brought a bunch of audio tapes of this, but it would have extended this already long twisted 10 even longer. There's tons of examples of this out there where you can hear what absolutely sounds like, is the one example that I can remember, the name Anna. When they ask this person for, what is your name? And you hear a voice come back, and it's sure enough, it sounds like this other person is saying Anna. Well, when it was then cross-referenced and debunked, what they were actually hearing is the word and the person saying I don't know about the next thing I want to talk about, but that phrase is used so often and broadcast over so many radio stations that it's only a matter of time before the coincidence of timing happens to portray perfectly for what is perceived as EVP. So it's radio spillover from other broadcasts that are filling up that particular medium that they were recording at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's really cool. There's some out there that cannot be explained. There definitely is some weird occurrences of this stuff, but it's a whole science around, listening to the dead. All right, you guys ready for the final one?
I am.
Let's do it.
Ron, I teased this earlier as something that I thought about when I was writing. I was thinking about you a lot in this because of one of the references in this number one is something you have talked about on this show at least a dozen times. All right, so It's something you're very familiar with.
All right.
But number one for pseudoscience, according to Adam, the top 10 pseudosciences out there is called cryptozoology. Do you guys know what cryptozoology is?
No.
All right, we're going to go with life science as a source on this. So cryptozoology, I'm surprised you guys, like Hysteria 51 does this kind of stuff all the time. Go ahead.
Let's say at least not by that name. As I said, like the EVP thing. I didn't know the acronym, but
You knew what it was when you
I did, yeah.
You'll know what these are as soon as I give you the definition of like, oh, that's cryptozoology. Okay, cool.
That sounds
Cryptozoology is the study of animals that are rumored to exist. Such creatures are called cryptids. Some, like the gorilla, giant squid, and okapi, are no longer hearsay and legend, but real creatures recognized by science. So a lot of these creatures were not, they were only, legend, and then later scientists discovered them, found them, and documented them. Others, like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, continue to tempt the hopeful and the adventurous with the possibility of their existence. So these are the creatures and the animals and the humanoids that we only theorize about and haven't necessarily found. I'm going to give a couple examples of this.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra is one of them, yes. This doesn't cover them all. This isn't a list of all the cryptozoology cryptids that are out there, but these are a lot of them. And some of these are already, proven. So we'll go over it. Like the gorilla is an example. The gorilla was only theorized. It was a cryptozoologist cryptid for a long time.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I read this.
I thought it was really commonly known that gorillas are real.
Well, now it is. In our lifetime, it is. In the 1900s, maybe before that, probably the 1800s, a gorilla, something, bigger than a man, but looks like a man in the jungle. No, that was, Bigfoot, like to us now. All right, we're going to start off with the thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger or wolf. The thylacine was a large meat-eating marsupial. Hint, marsupial. We talked about this last week. What defines a marsupial?
They got a wet sack.
That's right. They carry their babies in a pouch. Meat-eating marsupial that lived in Australia. Good eye, mate. It had a long, stiff tail, dark stripes on its back, and a rump and a pouch similar to the marsupials like the koala or the kangaroo. It was driven to extinction by human activity and the introduction of wild dogs onto the Australian mainland. The last confirmed wild thylacine was spotted in Tasmania in 1932, while the last captive one died in Tasmania Hobart's Zoo in 1936. Though widely considered to be extinct, sightings of this strange creature still do occur occasionally. So that's the thylacine.
So that actually existed, though?
It did exist. It doesn't anymore. But originally, it was just a legend. It was not. Then they had found it. Like this next one was only a legend, but they have since then have found it, and it has since been extinct. The okapi. If giraffes and zebra could mate, their offspring would look like an okapi. Spelled O-K-A-P-I. Maybe okapi. I don't know. This strange-looking creature has striped legs like a zebra, but the face of a giraffe. Its neck is much shorter than a giraffe, but like its cousin, has an extremely long tongue, which can reach the length of up to 12 inches. The okapi can use this tongue to wash its own eyelids and ears. Prior to 1901, okapis were known only by the people living in the Congo rainforest. You all know the next one, Loch Ness Monster. That is technically a cryptid. The locals near Lake Ness, or Loch Ness in Scottish Gaelic, in northwestern Scotland, affectionately refer to the mysterious creature rumored to be living in their waters as Nessie. According to one of the popular hypotheses, Nessie is a plesiosaur. God damn it. Plesiosar. Plesiosaur?
Sounds like a dinosaur. Is it like a dinosaur name?
Is a dinosaur. A large marine reptile that lived during the time of dinosaurs and which had a long neck and stubby paddle-like fins. We all know what Loch Ness looks like, or Nessie looks like. Another one was called the king cheetah. Starting in 1926, people of Zimbabwe began spotting a cheetah with unusual markings. Instead of spots, the cheetah had large splotches like a leopard and black stripes down its back. People call this creature the king cheetah. Some thought it might be a leopard-cheetah hybrid or a new subspecies of cheetah. The mystery wasn't solved until 1981. This is very recent. This stopped being a cryptid and then became classified as its proper genus and species. When a king cheetah was born in the De Wilt Cheetah Center of South Africa, analysis later revealed the cheetah markings were a result of a very rare genetic mutation. So it just was a mutant, but it was still a regular cheetah. All right, the last one I'm going to throw out there is the one that Ron has talked about so many times on this show. Homo florensis.
Interesting.
You remember talking about this?
Absolutely.
All right.
I know what Homo florensis is.
Folktales from the Indonesian island of Flores tell of a mysterious race of little people
Hobbit man.
called Ibo Gogo, who abducted children and spoke in murmurs. I don't know why abducted children's in there, but whatever, we'll go with it. Scientists began to take the myths more seriously when in 2003, the remains of a new humanoid species called Homo florensis was discovered in caves on the island. Fossil dating suggests that the Florensis may have lived alongside modern humans as recently as 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's the most recent, human. Yeah.
Alternate human species,
Yes,
alternate Homo species. Yeah.
Most recent one that, well, at least that we found. Like I had actually read 14,000 years ago, so 12,000 years ago. I mean,
This is according to life
give
science.
or take 2,000 years.
Yeah, what's 2,000 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the other ones that are out there that I'm not going to cite are Bigfoot, giant squids, which we have seen proof of now. We have some sort of evidence and scientific proof of those. Gorillas also as well. They're now has been part or now is part of the cryptozoology classification. So that is your top 10 pseudosciences.
That was fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was rumors of people seeing the Hobbit man, the Homo florensia.
They were legend.
Homo florensis. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I just thought it was just. I'd never heard of the legend. Only heard of it in reading about ancient hominids and stuff like what all the different ones that have existed or that we found.
Yeah, I figured you would probably go off and if we hadn't already spent an hour on this.
No.
This is a long podcast, so forgive us for that, but we knew that going into this one tonight.
Top 10 hominids. Yeah, that show will get 5 downloads.
You'd be surprised. We probably have a big downloads.
The History of Lucy.
You mean the movie with Morgan Freeman and that garbage show or that garbage movie?
Yeah, and it was so
bad. It started
Scarlett
off so
Johansson
good.
or something?
Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
Yeah, and it just went off into a weird direction. Yeah, that was a different Lucy.
So good.
Is that the weird one where she becomes one with the AI machine and it turns into like black goo? That
that one
I liked it better the
strange.
first time around in that Johnny Depp movie. What was that one where he did the same thing?
He was the
became
AI.
Yeah.
That one,
That was good.
I really enjoyed that one.
I don't think I've seen or even heard of that.
It is
Watch it. It's good. God,
it is the struggle of humanity through an AI. It's a good one. It's really good.
My favorite so far, my favorite AI movie was it Ex Machina?
Ex
Machina. That's my favorite AI movie so far. I thought it was just so
The
brilliantly
early
done.
Transcendence.
There
Yeah,
you
from
go.
2014, Transcendent. Watch that movie.
I'll check it out.
Johnny Depp does an amazing job, but it is a fantastic movie.
It'll give you emotions when it's done.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Not necessarily bad. You'll have its opinion. It's stop
makes
provoking.
you think.
That's the word. Stop provoking.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome list, brother. Awesome list.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right, we want to get out of here. Let's plug some things. Where do we want to send our listeners, Josh?
Well, the easiest place to get to all of the things that we have to access or have to offer is at twisted10.com. That'll get you to a few things. One, if you enjoyed the show, you've heard us talk about the after show a couple of times. You've heard us mention it. It is a Patreon only show. It's exclusive to our patrons. Thank you very much, patrons. The show, usually it's 30 minutes to an hour. It's usually where it lands. Not a lot of structure. Not like this. Much more freeform, much more couch talk, much less. How should I put it? It's much more raw. We focus more on kind of self-filtering and self-censoring and just the show, just to keep the content on track. We don't do that in the after show. No, we got a little personal last week.
Yeah, we did. We got down that rabbit hole a little.
But so that's a fun one. That's it starts at $5. It's $5 a month. So thank you so much. If you enjoy the show, it's us. Ron, you coined it. Come for the content, stay for the hosts, and that after show is definitely the hosts. It's just us bullshitting. So you can get to our Patreon there. That's patreon.com/twisted10 if you want to go there directly. We do have a free episode that's up there now.
That's right.
We have an episode of the after show. You can go to the Patreon, scroll down to the bottom of that first page, and
or it's available in the feed that you're listening to us now on.
Oh, that's right.
If you go back, we released it as well in this feed. So if you go back a couple episodes now, you'll see it says bonus. It's titled at the beginning of the episode. It's titled as bonus. That bonus show is a Patreon only show, but it's the first one we did in its entirety. So you get kind of a feel for how the Patreon after show goes. It was only a 30-minute show, wasn't too bad. So it's a lot of fun. We got into some fucking deep topics on that too, man.
But so that's a good one. Also from twisted10.com, you can get to our Discord server. So we mention that every episode. It's a place where you guys can come get to us. We've got some mixed opinions on the team as far as Facebook. 2 of us are on Facebook strike. It's just a general life choice.
There's a new one out there now called Parler.
Oh God, don't go on that one.
Nope.
Hard that. I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
The whole reasons I don't like Facebook is all now being pushed to Parler. Hell to the no.
Copy that.
But
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
It's
Old pop-up over here. Don't know anything about Parler.
It's so that's a. Anyway, so you can go. Oh man, I completely lost my train of thought. So on the website, you can go to
twisted10.com.
Yeah, on the website at the top bar. So you also have our Discord there. So you can come in, you can jump in, come say hey to us, and just tell us if you like the show. Come hang out, come bullshit. If you're already on Discord, it's just an invite. We do every Sunday night when we record at 8:30 Eastern. We do a live stream, and
when we remember to plug in the fucking cable. That's on me. I apologize, Josh. That is my fault tonight.
It's weird. It's extra weird because I did my audio checks before the show, and I was getting visualized mic input. So obviously it's the area mics on my laptop, but it was registering that I was like, cool, I'm getting audio, and I dumped it and put it live.
We're still, we're grassroots. We're forming this again back into, what we want this to be for the listeners. And we're going to fumble along the way. We are paid thousands of dollars to produce this. This isn't a state-of-the-art studio. This is literally our, homemade studio. So guess what? You get us in our natural habitat sometimes.
Like the Homo florensis.
They were little guys.
Hey, can I do one final plug too?
Fuck yeah, do it.
It would really, really help us out a lot, everybody, if you would go to whatever app you're listening to this on, especially Apple, but any app, rate and review.
You're right.
Yes, and subscribe.
Subscribe definitely, but rate and review is super, super helpful. If you could just go take a few minutes to do that, we greatly appreciate it. And just let us know what you like about the show and what you think. 100%.
I couldn't agree more. All right, boys, let's get out of here. I got to go do a little pseudo dump, if you know what I mean. All right. Thank you for listening to The Twisted 10 this week. I'm Adam.
Ron.
And I'm Josh.
Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you guys later. Let's do the after show now. Oh, yeah.